Okay, we're getting ready to start building the Cigar Box ukulele for the Great Guitar Build-Off Freestyle competition. This is the initial plan that I have, subject to change as we begin construction. But it's going to be a 15-inch scale length. It's going to be a concert-size ukulele. The body is going to be 9 inches long, which is 22.8 centimeters. It's going to be 4.5 inches wide, which is 11.3 centimeters. And it's going to be 3 inches thick, which is 7.6 centimeters. The neck will be proportioned to the body once we calculate the headstock, which I have not finished designing yet. I haven't decided on the inlays for the fingerboard yet. I've got a whole bunch of abalone and pearl dots that I may want to try to use up, but that's not very creative, so I may come up with something else. The nut width is going to be 1 3/8 inch, which is 3.5 centimeters. And where the neck crosses the body, it's going to expand out to 1 11/16 wide, and that will carry through the body, which is 4.2 centimeters. It's going to cross the body at approximately where the 16th fret would be. We're only going to put in 15 frets, and I'm not going to carry the fingerboard out onto the box. I need as much surface area to vibrate as I can, but the neck will support the bridge. You'll see when we notch out the neck to fit into the box. We're going to leave part of it for the bridge, so that it will actually be supportive, and I shouldn't require any bracing inside the box. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do, I've got my koa blank, and I'm going to square up one end. It actually looks pretty square, so I don't think it's going to take very much. Then I've set a stop at 9 inches. So after I've squared an end, I'll put it up against the stop. We'll cut the first piece to 9 inches. And I always do like to double check. You should always double check your measurements and make sure we are 9 inches. And we're measuring from the inside edge on the crosscut sled so that we're accurate. If we went to the other side, we'd be taken off, we'd be about a 3/16 short. This lumber has been sitting in my garage for over 10 years, and it is just hasn't moved. It's very flat. I'm going to hope that it doesn't move when I release some of the tensions in the wood. Now, there's a beautiful piece of sapwood, which I do like to get that in there at times, but on this project I think I'm going to try to avoid it. But it's nice and straight and square, and I don't even know if this end really needs to be squared off, but I will just to be safe. Okay, we've lined this up, we've pushed against the stop, we're ready to cut at the 9-inch mark. The next thing we need to do is set ourselves up at the 4.5-inch mark. Inches. This piece should be exactly 9 inches, which it is. So 4.5-inch mark, and we're going to make another cut. top and back are going to actually get glued onto the box. So I'm going to actually make them a little oversized. So this is going to go a little over 9 inches. Say about 9 1/4. It just gives me a little bit of overhang to work with as when I glue them onto the box. I'm going to set the top in a different place because the next thing I need to do is I need to rip the back and sides to 3 inches. I've set the fence at 3 inches. I'm going to run these through. What I've done is I'm going to run them through in the same orientation because when we make the box, if we can get a continuous grain, it'll look really, really cool. The next thing I need to do with these guys is resaw. You may have said you only made one side and one end, but what I'm doing is this wood is a little over 3/4 of an inch thick. So I'm going to go on my bandsaw and I'm going to resaw these guys so they're around 3/8 of an inch thick, which is the good size for the side of the box. The top and back are also going to get resawn. And maybe we'll look into leaving some of that sapwood in the top so we get the cool effect. Off to the bandsaw. I've got the piece, and what I'm doing is I'm trying to set up the saw. So I made a line. I measured in 3/8 from each end, and I want to make sure the fence is set so that the blade is in the middle of those two lines. I'm going to set up a feather board, keep the piece pressed against the fence. Always use a push stick. This one's seen a lot of use. So we're going to run the side and the ends through. Then we're going to have to raise the blade up a bit to get the front and back. Done a pretty good job. Pieces are pretty much identical in thickness. This is pretty good for me. I've never had that much success in doing this. Usually I'm a little off. I like to leave myself some extra. So what we're going to do once we get the top piece cut is we're going to run these through a drum sander to take off the saw marks and ensure that they're all the exact same thickness. Alright, so we've got the top and back cut down as well, but they were going to be about half, less than half of what the sides are, because we need to make sure that we get some vibration and a thinner top is going to vibrate better. And what's really neat is, I think that's a beautiful sapwood inclusion on the koa. I think it's going to look really nice. So that'll be the outside. But we got to get these cleaned up to get the saw marks off, and maybe thin these just a little bit.